Thank you, ma'am. Okay, let's call the meeting to order for a special session of Polk County Commissioners Court for Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021, it's 2 p.m. Okay, this is just a budget workshop, so we will get started. I will tell you all the changes that have been made. First, we'll review some of the information from before. I asked for large paper. I got very large paper. And I like it. I like it that way. Okay, there were some changes in the deferrals that occurred through the tax office. And so if you look on your revenue calculations page, those numbers have changed, but that was due to the deferrals that occurred through Leslie's office. And then those same deferrals are going to be reflected in the next 2 pages. The debt obligation, and the tax revenue calculations on the debt obligations, which is this page right here. I don't think we numbered them this time. No, keep going. No, go back. It's the same first pages that we did.
Upside down.
Okay, right there, right there.
Cool.
Your debt obligation, again, that has shifted. Let me count pages. On page 3. No, mine is huge.
Mine's upside down, I don't know why.
Okay, so again, because of the deferrals, our debt has shifted to accommodate for that. So if you turn the page again to the road and bridge precinct funding, you had a change on the target balance, went to $459,880 now for the precincts, the road and bridge precincts.
432.
Yeah, it was like 432 or 431.
It was 432
something like that. Okay, so you had an increase there, and again, that change was due to the deferrals that occurred for taxes. Okay, everybody with me? Okay, turn to the next page, and now you have all the capital purchase projections. Right there. So you have your capital purchase projections, and note that we just approved last Commissioner's Court the prior tax note issues, which was for 2021 in the amount of $500,000. So that now gets added to our tax notes. And so the amount that you have down there on the total requested by departments, excluding vehicles, is $139,482 for capital projections for next year. So that will be the projected debt that we will incur.
That one on the sheriff, is that those vehicles going through that, or is that something else?
No, sir, that's the flooring.
The flooring, okay. I was wondering where we were gonna fund that startup with the Enterprise.
Everything for Enterprise is in the budget itself.
Okay.
None of that is on debt. Okay.
Go through us or through the sheriff's budget?
It's in there separately as a separate line item, because remember, Enterprise includes also other departments.
Other vehicles, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So it's in there, and we will track which departments and which.
So this is what our tax notes, so we're getting a little better on that debt from last year.
We keep trying to climb down.
You're doing pretty good there. I mean, that's 365.
Less.
Yes, less.
That's what I'm saying. That's 365 for 2020, so that's getting, the debt's going down on that particular part of it.
Well, and if you go through and you look at it, and of course there were circumstances with each year.
Yeah.
You know, but we had the 2016,
Yeah.
$145,000, and then in 2017 we had none. But in 2017 we used our IAH
Look at
back
15.
monies. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't need anything. We didn't need anything for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So-
But that was,
Yeah.
if you'll recall, 2015 is when the court was working hard to crawl out of that So we climbed out pretty well.
So looking forward, we're pretty good right now.
Yes, sir. Okay. And then you have the debt schedule. The debt schedule, which gives you gives you all of our bonds, all of our tax notes, everything across the board. And the dark blue arrow shows you where we are for this coming budget year, 2022. For all the tax notes, the 2014 have obviously fallen off. And then keep in mind, since we had very little debt in 2016, and then no capital purchase debt in 2017, well then, we're gonna get a reprieve in there. And then in 2023, our general obligation funds for the judicial center, will fall off. We will be done after 2023.
We don't have to do anything major between now and 2024. It'll be a pretty good deal.
If we cannot stay away from doing anything major between now and 2027,
Oh, well,
then it'll be a
yeah.
really good deal.
I'm
Cause
not
that's when the
going.
jail falls off, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but I'm not going that far out. I'm just saying though, 2025, I'm shooting for 2024 right now.
Yes, so 2023 will be our final payment on the 2017 bonds for the judicial center.
27 would be real good.
Yeah, and then 2027, that's a big one. And remember, those are the ones that we renegotiated.
Yeah.
So those numbers got changed along the way.
But the time they got paid off stayed the same.
Yes, we kept the timeline, we renegotiated the terms and got a lower interest rate,
Awesome.
right? So if you look at on the 2020 jail, if you look at those, you're gonna see that the interest rate ticks down pretty fast. Right, the interest rate for 2021 on those bonds, was $417,000.
Yeah.
And when we get to 2027, the interest rate is $68,750, so.
Well, like I said, 24's cut in half,
Yes, sir.
or pretty much close to it.
Yes, sir.
25 is.
And the last one on the judicial center's 21,000.
Correct.
That's really.
Okay, any questions on that one? That's the same information, we just wanna make sure that all of you remain aware of it. Okay. Now, on the next, set, if you will go to page 6 of 67. On the budget detail.
Yeah, it's all backwards, but I got it.
Okay.
I was the first one.
Obviously.
Number one.
It's
there.
all good.
Here's number one.
Okay, if you go to line 1401, 3520, which is contingencies, you'll see that we bumped that up quite a bit, and that's because at this time, we have not received the contract on what the sheriff would like for the court to consider in terms of jail medical. We do know that it includes an increase, but we have not seen the final contract and we have not seen the final terms. So we put it in contingencies because we know the expenditure is gonna be there, we just don't know how much. So that's in contingencies for now. We left the portion that was normally assigned or normally given to jail medical, we left that amount alone, for now. Because keep in mind that whatever contract or whatever terms he comes up with, we'll still have to go to legal counsel for review, so.
That's the 170. That's the 100.
Yes, so it's at 170,000. Okay. The next change that was made is on page 12 of 67. And that change was made on capital outlay buildings. We were able to increase that amount. That's the amount, that amount has to come through the court before it can be expended. And in 2019, we had it at 150,000. We took it to 250,000 for this upcoming year. Because again, we have several offices that still need some security measures to be done. If you'll recall, we went through and kind of had every office assess their security needs. And it's been everything from windows to shields that would protect people from.
Some of them are, it's like our office to be secure, it's gonna have to be restructured, and Jay's looked at it.
Exactly.
You know, and then COVID hit, and, you know, and all that's went by, so
Correct.
it's gonna have to be
You need a new building.
dealt with sometime. Honestly, I do, but I'm making do with what I got.
Well, and so that's part
Discussions
of
of
it.
adding on to the building, but, you know, we haven't crossed that bridge just yet.
So the court previously kind of prioritized and went through and looked at what some of the security
Mhm,
measures
yeah,
needed to
that's-
be. And so the only way we're gonna be able to get it done, more than likely, will be going through our maintenance. But all of that expenditure, has to be approved by the court. So it's not in the budget above. If you look at 1511 4500, repair, replace buildings, that is at the discretion of, that 200,000 is at the discretion of our maintenance department. And if you look at the track record for it, they always get pretty close to expending on it. We try to give them some wiggle room, but then with FY 2021 COVID, then they had basically $50,000 left in that budget. So this is not discretionary, this is the court must approve. Okay, and then go to page 13 of 67. Look at 1691 4028 inmate mental health assessment. In 2020, we had put $150,000 in there for mental health assessment. None of it got expended, so then we put $50,000 in 2021. Now with all the issues that have occurred and how things have escalated, I guess I should say, in the mental health field, along with some issues from the federal government stating that they are not going to fund some of the programs that they in the past had funded, then we went back to our original amount of $150,000. We have spoken to Melanie Taylor and the Burke Center, and we are looking at all the options and possibilities in terms of mental health assessment for inmates and any kind of preventive programs that would keep them out of our jail instead of putting them into our jail. So we took that back. Okay, page 14 of 67. Line item 1695 5720, capital outlay, under emergency management. We added $15,000 in there. If you'll recall, last meeting, we approved some AEDs replacement, and we talked about that we probably needed to put those in a rotation so that we don't get, the budget doesn't get impacted really hard just from time to time. Those things are not cheap, and so we put $15,000 in there so that we can maintain our AEDs in all the buildings and remain in compliance.
Do we have to replace the ones that we already have, or are these gonna be an addition?
Some of them have to be replaced, and some of them are so outdated that the parts before long are reaching expiration points. And so that would be the whole idea, is that we treat it just like our IT department. You know, when we first asked IT to go in, when Casey first came on board, we asked her to start a rotation and decide which areas were too old to really find parts for, so we won't get rid of any of them, because the trade-in on that, I think, was like $100 per AED. Well, we'll just hold on to the old ones, replace, put new ones where we need them. And then, and the other option also is that once we get them replaced, if there are other government entities or nonprofits that would like to have the older ones, then go ahead and two area entities that might be interested in having.
The batteries, don't feel me, somewhere around $30,000 for all the new batteries on those things when we changed them out here several years ago.
That is correct, just for the batteries.
Because nobody thought about the batteries, and once we had them in there, then the batteries went bad, and they've got an expiration date on them. So
Yes, yeah.
it hit us all at one time.
And that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to
Yeah.
avoid getting hit all at one time. So we told Courtney to go ahead with replacing what she could this year, and then moving forward with having a rotation for replacing. And if we do have other buildings that need another AED or need it, then we can provide it. But yes, the batteries alone are expensive.
Have any that's like plug-ins or
No such animal,
just kinda keeps it charged?
no such animal. In that case, you can't have a heart attack over there because the plug wouldn't reach.
No, it would just keep the battery charged, like a trickle charger type.
Yeah, with those different batteries there, those batteries are batteries that carry a lot of voltage.
A lot of voltage.
Not like
Oh,
a
to
regular,
make
you know,
it-
whenever you need that shock,
They got a-
it's not like a rechargeable flashlight.
I looked at ours this morning, it's still good,
Yeah.
so.
Good, we'll take you off the rotation list for now.
We better find out when we put it in there.
No,
Get
Courtney.
in there tomorrow and it might be great.
Was they right, don't move it too quick?
Yeah.
No,
Or too far from it.
No, Courtney is going through and looking at all of them, and she has a timeline for them and what the plan will be for the rotation.
Hey, Ronnie, just hope there's someone there to use it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
not
that's
you.
the problem.
They're by
Do you no
yourself.
good sitting there by yourself.
That's true.
Okay, next one is page 34 of 67. And that would be line item 3697, 4270, travel training for permits. Holly Oliver was extremely pleased about the selection, obviously, since it was her. And this is to make sure that we can get her adequate training. She's already been in communication with TCQ, and we're already making arrangements for her. So, but we went ahead and increased the training budget since she did not have the required training. And that's all I have, unless someone has some questions, suggestions. This is our proposed budget.
And that's all based on our current tax rate that we've had forever.
Yes, sir, and we're going to let Leslie take the stage next. Unless Leslie just wants me to go through it. We're now putting on a piece of paper. Well, she can do it. Go ahead, Leslie.
Well, we still don't have our truth and taxation sheets up on our actual software yet. When the comptroller redid all the worksheets, it takes obviously a week and a half or better for them to recalculate the worksheets and get everything in, because I know they left lines off. It was lines like for the disaster area, which we are a disaster area this year. So we get an extra 8%.
If we want.
If you want. And actually, it's all figured in with what y'all have there. The only thing about the 8% on disaster, it won't be there next year. So I told Carrie I will refigure after it's all said and done, see what the difference would be without the 8%. I'm hoping that these
8%
are,
be useful.
that these are right, because I had to do them by hand. I haven't done hand calculations since 2014. So it's been a while. And my little calculator should be burned up. I probably need a new one. We need a budget for that. Cause it literally had a workout. But to the best of my figuring, revenue rate is 0.6021. The voter approval rate, 0.70109. And you have a de minimis rate of 0.5719.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
So what that does is if we leave our tax rate as it is, which is what this budget is based on. So our current tax rate is 0.6461, which puts us above the no new revenue. The no new revenue is 0.6021. But under the voter approval, is 0.70109 as presented. So the budget is built on, the proposal is built on the current tax rate, but is above the no new revenue rate. Doesn't require voters' approval. Around money.
Well under that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
About 6.3 cents. Somewhere in there.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain the 8%?
What they did was if you had a, emergency circumstances, remember how you have the caps on your budget, on how much your budget can go up? Then if you were within an area that had an emergency situation, such as a tornado, well, then you could go well over that amount according to the legislature. But remember, that's what we discussed last year, that why would you, if you had an emergency situation, why would you turn around and tax those very same people that went through the emergency higher? That
Makes sense.
that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up.
Also too.
But I'm not in Austin, so.
Yeah.
When you are able to figure the 8% in, you have to have people go into the appraisal district and apply for a disaster.
Well, we have that.
Oh, yeah, we've had just for the freeze alone, I think Chad said there was in between 30 and 60 people, I forget the exact number.
No, we have more than met the disaster declaration.
I mean, down there.
Between the tornado and then the freeze, we have more than met the criteria. I think
Except for FEMA funding.
well, we were never declared a federal disaster.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were
Local.
never declared a federal disaster. So we got the state disaster declaration. But, so since that is a state legislation, then we could, and that would change the numbers for us. But it just,
You need to raise taxes to do it.
yeah, and so,
One-time deal.
yes, sir,
You jack it up this year, and then next year you got to go back down anyway.
yeah, and so those very same
So there's no
people.
point.
Yeah, no, those very same people that have already been hit with a disaster declaration is who you'd be taxing. It just made no sense to me, so anyway.
I just want to make sure the public understood.
Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. So, are there any questions about this budget? Leslie, thank you. I know it's been a mess.
So what you're waiting on won't affect this.
We're hoping on it. Because as many times as I went over that, I bet you I went over that 20 times.
Yeah, but you said you're still waiting for some numbers from the comptroller? Oh,
No,
okay, so you're
no,
good.
Forms. Our
Oh, the forms,
download
okay, but the
Yeah.
numbers
into
are
our
good.
software.
The numbers are good, but just not the forms.
And that's the other thing, you know, this office calls Austin, you don't get the same answer twice. Leslie calls Austin, she doesn't get the same
I'm
answer
just very
twice.
thankful I have people that I can call, and they give me cell phone numbers, and it's helped a lot.
Yeah, so. Okay, any questions for For me or for Leslie?
Appreciate that road
Okay.
bridge raise.
So, what's that?
Appreciate that road bridge raise.
Increase from deferred taxes. Okay, so, on the proposed tax rate, the 0.6461, we need to take a vote on that.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Purvis, second Commissioner Vincent. Now, remember, this is one of those where we have to go around and everybody says yes. Commissioner Purvis?
Yes.
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 Yes. Very well, all voting yes. The tax rate, proposed tax rate will remain the same as last year, 0.6461. Okay, Commissioner Overstreet?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. Commissioner Overstreet, Commissioner Purvis. Thank you, everybody. Before you go, I have some information for you all to read at your leisure. And then we will answer any questions or put it on the agenda. Thank you, everybody.
We have another meeting coming up.
Yes, sir.
Do we know what that is?
When's our next?
Tuesday at 10, normal board.
Yeah, regular one.
Next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, 10 o'clock.
We don't have another budget here.
Thought we had, no, it was supposed to have one more budget.
There will be a public hearing on August 16th during that regular meeting.
Yes, there's a public hearing, but this is the proposed budget.
Gotcha. All right.
Thank you,
Appreciate,
ma'am.
appreciate y'all's hard work.
Not a problem. Y'all have a good one. We'll try to make sure we don't get it upside down. We thought maybe you were an Aggie or something.
Well,
They say.
Associated.
I can say that, I'm an Aggie.
I'm associated.
You raised several.
He's only paid for a wing over there.